Again, Gills fans, welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is Monday review time. It's a tough one this week. Going to have to look back and reflect on that heartbreaking playoff dream ending 3-2 defeat to Oxford at the Kassam Stadium at the weekend. Still haven't really quite got over it. Still haven't really fathomed out how we managed to contrive to lose a 2-goal lead in the final 16 minutes, having been relatively comfortable for the first 72 and taking that 2-goal lead. I'll go right back to the beginning though. First half, thought we were absolutely superb to a man. Defensively, we were really solid. Thought Ryan Jackson had a really good game at right back. Oxford's out ball was to the lad Shadipo on the left-hand side, but I thought Jacko marked him really well. Didn't let him get to the byline, didn't let him get the wrong side. And they were forced to come inside into traffic. And generally, when they went long, Jack Tucker, Robbie Cundy were able to win most things in the air. Conor Ogilvie was solid enough at left-back as well. And offensively, were a threat. And it wasn't just through being direct. We went into Verdane Oliver's chest and head when we had to, but we got it down and played some really good stuff. Perhaps should have led by 2 at the break. Ollie Lee has a really good chance from a throw-in that's headed back across goal, arrives late on the scene and heads wide from about 8 or 9 yards, probably should hit the target. But we did have 1 goal to show for all our endeavours in that first 45 minutes. Really smart finish from top scorer Verdane Oliver. Long throw from Ryan Jackson. So as well as being solid defensively, he's actually assisted the goal. Big Verdane competed with his centre half, and when the ball dropped to him in the box, swivelled first time effort across the keeper, Jack Stevens, and into the bottom corner to give us the deserved lead. And it's one that we held at the break. I'd imagine the team talk at the interval would have been much of the same. Keep up the intensity, keep up the work rate without the ball, stop them from playing out, stop them from getting their key players like Matty Taylor, Shadipo, James Henry, Elliot Lee on the ball, and try and pick them off on the break. And Oxford, to be fair, were taking risks very early in that second period. We had a couple of chances, a load of corners. I think we'd had 9 corners in the second half before we scored the second goal. And our second did come from a corner that eventually worked its way back out to Jordan Graham on the right-hand side via, I think it was Conor Ogilvie and then Robbie Cundy. And Jordan got to the byline and put in a really good ball into a dangerous area. And Cundy himself was still in a 6-yard box and slammed home the finish. 18 minutes to go. Absolute delirium from me. I tweeted a couple of months ago that the wins weren't as great when you're not there and the defeats didn't get you as down as much. But this was a big result and it felt like a huge moment at 2-0. And unfortunately, that comment's come back to bite me on the arse now. It's on my Instagram page. It's in the Matchday Live. 2-0 at the Kassam Stadium. Gillingham lead and the playoff dream is well and truly alive, or words to that effect. And it should have been. At 2-0 with 18 minutes to play, you'd back us to see the game out. You'd back us to manage things relatively well. But credit Oxford. Sam Winnell, who'd only been on a few minutes, scores a really good opener. There is a question mark over whether, I think it's Matty Taylor in the box, tries to influence the direction of the ball right in front of Jack Bonham. Doesn't get a touch, but is he interfering with play? To be honest, I think it'd be very harsh if it was chalked off, and it'd certainly be one I'd be disappointed if it was for us. So I suppose we have to let that go. The second and third, though, I've had a look back at the highlights. The third one was a bit of a glaze yesterday. I just generally couldn't believe that we collapsed and lost 3-2. The second one, long ball into the box. We've got Alex McDonald, we've got Conor Ogilvie and Jack Tucker at the far post. Yet Sam Long manages to get in between all 3 of them and win his header. And it's a decent enough header, but it's at Jack Bonham's near post. Should he be wearing a cap potentially in the sun? Looking into that open-ended goal at the far end of the Kassam Stadium. It's one of them weird anomalies in the Football League. They've only got 3 stands. And suddenly, 2-0 became 2 each. All the momentum was with the Yellows. And we were hanging on a bit. But I think a draw would have been a disappointing result. So to then concede a similar goal in injury time, another long diagonal into the box. Conor Ogilvie again, unfortunately, caught on his heels. Sam Long gets a run on him. It's a good finish. He meets it first time on the volley. Gills players collapse onto their haunches in the 6-yard box, the penalty area, and further up the pitch. And the playoff dream that had been well and truly alive not 15 minutes earlier was pretty much over. 2-0 had quickly become 3-2 down. And despite trying to get ourselves up the pitch, I think Jack Bonham come up for a corner. We didn't really create another chance. We did miss ones in between the first goal and the second goal, and after. Verdane Oliver forces a good save from Jack Stevens one-on-one, but probably you'd back him to score the form he's been in this season, certainly since the end of February. Conor Ogilvie had one that cleared off the line or was going in. We probably should have been 2 or 3-0 up before they had the chance to get back into the game. So that's the biggest frustration for me. Another thing that I want to address, and I might get shot down in flames by the fan base for it, but that's absolutely fine if it's done in the right way. The game's all about different opinions, but it led me to take the decision to take the night off of Twitter on Saturday evening, because in the immediate aftermath of the game, I was seeing people, fans, supporters of the club, quoting the club tweets and the match report and saying things like pathetic, embarrassing, bottlers. Where's that come from? What have we bottled? For me, to bottle something is to have had something and chucked it away. What have we had this season in terms of the playoffs, automatic promotion, anything like that? We've not. We've been in the top 6 for 48 hours at the business end of the season, and that was only because we played on the Wednesday evening before all the Good Friday fixtures. We went into 6 for 2 days after beating Wigan, but other teams had plenty of games in hand. The effort from this group of players, and it's predominantly been 15 or 16 since the middle of January when we had the loan reshuffle and bought in a few players, the likes of Callum Slattery and Ollie Lee, and we got Stuart O'Keefe back, and later on we got Dominic Samuel back. They've been absolutely first class, playing Saturday, Tuesday, to get us into a position where we could even think about the playoffs. So for me, the fact that we've taken it to the 41st, the 42nd game before it actually gets confirmed that we're not going to get in the top 6 this season, I think needs applauding rather than lambasting and berating, because yes, we don't have the smallest budget in the Football League, in EFL, in League One or whatever, and I get that and I understand that, and I know why Steve Evans does it. He does it to create this atmosphere and to create this ethos and this motto that, you know, it's little old Jules against the world, and it works, and it has worked for the last 3 months. The results, the performances, the attitude, the work rate, the willingness to play for the shirt have backed that up. I think we've just run out of steam. That little group that we've been using, that 15, 16, have finally run out of legs. I said that after the Wigan win. I said it after the Blackpool defeat. Certainly said it again at Shrewsbury home game last weekend. We looked a bit flat, even though we had decent chances and could have won the game. And although it didn't happen for 72 minutes yesterday, it just looked like the air had been sucked completely out of us once the first goal went in, certainly the second, and like I've already mentioned, it's heartbreaking to concede the third. I'd have been disappointed with a point, so to have lost the game and taken absolutely nothing is incredibly disappointing. I can't say it enough, but I don't get this from the fan base. I don't understand what we're supposed to have bottled. So if someone can shed any light on that for me, then I'm happy to listen and happy to discuss it. I'm disappointed that we threw the game away or were pegged back or whatever you want to label it. I get that, but we've not bottled anything this season. We've overachieved. We're using 15, 16 players, and we've been in contention for the playoffs up until the 4th last game, albeit being a long shot. I've said for ages it was a possibility rather than a probability. It's never been any more than that. And ultimately we've come up short for one reason or another. But it's not just because of the Oxford defeat at the weekend. It's more likely because of the inconsistent first half of the campaign, where we was a little bit naive, a little bit brittle in certain situations, and probably dropped more points than we should have done. It's happened in the second half of the season as well. The Wimbledon game, the Fleetwood game have been disappointing. But on the whole, like I say, since January, we've been absolutely spot on. Picked up plenty of wins, risen up the table. You've got to think at Christmas, we were around 14th, 15th. Playoffs wasn't even in the equation for us. So to take it this far, I tip my hat to Steve Evans, the manager, Paul Rayner, his assistant, and to every single player that's played a part. Like I say, I might get shot down, but I'd appreciate some thoughts on it. There's been some good discussion on Twitter over the weekend, and any more would be greatly appreciated and welcomed. I like to chat about football at the end of the day. But we move on. We cannot change it now. It's about how we react. And we have the toughest of away games on Tuesday evening when we travel to take on this team. Darren Ferguson's automatic promotion chasing Peterborough, the opposition, on Tuesday night. I think it's a 7 p.m. kickoff at London Road. It's going to be tough. Going to be really, really tough. The Posh had their blip a few weeks ago, but they've since picked up. Looking at the comparative form, Peterborough loss, win-win, draw, win-win. It's the 13 points from the last half dozen games. Gills, unfortunately, the form's taken a nosedive at the most crucial of periods. Draw, win, lost, only 6 from the last 18 available. So having gone 1.63, 1.7, 1.8 points per game throughout March, we're suddenly averaging only 1 point a game since in our last 6, when we really needed to be maintaining that high level. Home, Peterborough's form mirrors the same as their overall, so they've taken 13 points from the last 18 available with 4 wins, a draw and a solitary loss. Gills on the road in the last 6, 2 wins, a draw and 3 defeats, so it's 7 points from 18. They've got quality all over the park, haven't they, the Posh? They've got decent defenders, they've got good midfielders, they've got a very potent strike force. Christy Pym won't be playing, but they brought in a youngster from Stoke who's a decent keeper. They've got Mark Beavers, who provides experience, Nathan Thompson, Frankie Kent, bit of a ball-playing centre-back, I should say. Dan Butler, I think it is at left-back's very good in the middle of the park. We know they're going to be solid. We know they're going to be composed and get the ball down and play it. Forward areas, they're absolutely frightening. Mo Issa, I think they bought for $1 million, can't even get in the side. They've got Sami Samodic, who had a really slow start to the season. I think got 13 in his last 20. They've got Sariki Dembele, who's got the holy grail of double digits in terms of goals and assists this season. Turned the game at the Priestfield earlier on in the campaign when he come on at half-time. And they've got a certain Johnson Clark-Harris up front, who I think's got 30 goals in all competitions. Been absolutely brilliant. They've not missed Ivan Toney at all, and I think this finally is the season where Peterborough get out of this division and end up in the second tier for the first time in a few years. In terms of team news for the Gills, basing on what I saw yesterday, I don't think there were any injury problems. Steve Evans has confirmed that James Morton's returned to Bristol City. That didn't work out for one reason or another. Callum Slattery won't be seen again this season. It's likely he'd not be fit until the final week of the campaign. So it's been agreed with Southampton that we allow him to stay at Southampton and get himself ready for the new campaign. Fingers crossed we might be able to get him back. That'd be lovely. I thought he was really good when he came in, and up until his injury played a big part in Stuart O'Keefe's absence. So team news, I think, means everyone else available. So for me, I'd make a couple of changes. We're going to have to be solid. So I'm going to take out a couple of attack-minded players. One I'm going to replace with another attacking player, but the other I'm going to replace with more defensive-minded. So I'm going to go Jack Bonham in goal, a back four of Ryan Jackson, Jack Tucker, Robbie Cundy and Connor Ogilvie, a middle three of Carl Dempsey, Stuart O'Keefe and Tommy O'Connor, and then a front three of Jordan Graham for Dane Oliver and Dominic Samuel in a 4-5-1 formation. My substitutes bench therefore is Sasha Bastien, Robbie McKenzie, Matty Willock if he's back available. I'm not sure if he wasn't on the bench through choice or through necessity at the weekend. Alex MacDonald, Tyreek Johnson, Oliver Lee and John McKindy. Harsh on Alex MacDonald for me, but I just think we're going to have to be really, really solid defensively. Might have to be a bit narrow and a bit more compact as well. In terms of a score prediction, I know it's going to be really tough and I don't like predicting us to lose, but I just think Saturday's defeat is going to have had a huge effect on us physically and mentally. To lose in the last minute, having led 2-0 with less than 20 minutes to go, is a hard pill to swallow. And for that reason, and the fact that the Posh are trying to get themselves promoted, I'm going to go for a final score of Peterborough 2, Gillingham 1. And I'm going to back for Dane Oliver to score our goal. Right, that is enough from me. Appreciate you watching and listening. If you're new to the channel, please go and like and subscribe. Hit that bell so that you get notifications of when new content is uploaded to the channel. I'll be back on the third tier tonight, looking back at the weekend action. And continue to check out Fan Hub. I know there was a waiting list hiatus at the weekend. Everyone was allowed in for a short period of time, so plenty of people on there. Keep downloading, keep checking out those golden tickets and those codes that allow you to skip the huge waiting list. Thanks for watching, like I say, and until next time, up the Gills.